I'm not going to apologize for using LDS scriptures from the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I have quoted Catholic priests, I have quoted Methodist ministers, and a whole variety of Protestant ministers. I just haven't mentioned it. And I do not feel badly in sharing with you insights from the prophet Joseph Smith that were given to him by the Lord. Now, I feel badly that some of you will not understand, that you will want to argue and fight and contend. I simply will not do that. At the very beginning, in my About Me introduction, I acknowledged that I was going to use these because I think they add significant insight. And so I'll continue to do it from time to time, just as I will quote from the other religious leaders from time to time. Some of them have had near-death experiences. We have presidents, prophets who have led our church who have had experiences. We're no different than you are, except perhaps in some of our beliefs. Well, I decided then I needed to be even more clear. In Abraham chapter 3 verse 22, this has to do with the earth. Now the Lord had shown unto me, Abraham, the intelligences that were organized before the world was, and among all these there were many of the noble and great ones. And God saw these souls that they were good. And he stood in the midst of them, and he said, These I will make my rulers. For he stood among those that were spirits. And this is in the preexistence. And he saw that they were good. And he said unto me, Abraham, thou art one of them. Thou wast chosen before thou wast born. Well, go to Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 and see what the Lord tells Jeremiah. That he was called before in the preexistence. Before you were formed in the belly, I ordained thee to be a prophet. And there stood one among them that was like unto God, Christ. And he said unto those who were with him, We will go down, for there is space there. And we will take of these materials, and we will make an earth whereon these may dwell. And we will prove them herewith, to see if they will do all things whatsoever the Lord their God shall command them. And it goes on. What a marvelous insight, rather than just believing, oh, there was a big bang and I call her Amy the amoeba, climbed out of a sea, and where is a result of that? No, there's a Father in heaven. There's a God involved in this process. And this will be my last one, I think, but I just can't. There's truth here. Okay, we're talking about God. And I'm in Doctrine and Covenants, section 88. It's on page 168. Again, you can check these books out of a library. He, God, comprehendeth all things, and all things are before him, and all things are round about him. And he is above all things, and in all things, and through all things, and is round about all things, and all things are by him, and of him, even God, forever and ever. Isn't that what we've been reading here, these lectures? And again, verily I say unto you, he hath given a law, we'll have a lecture on that, unto all things by which they move in their times and their seasons. And their courses are fixed, even the courses of the heaven and the earth, which comprehend the earth and all the planets. And they give light to each other in their times and in their seasons, in their minutes, in their hours, in their days, in their weeks, in their months, in their years. And all these are 1 year with God, but not with man. The earth rolls upon her wings, and the sun giveth his light by day, and the moon giveth her light by night. And the stars also give their light, as they roll upon their wings in their glory, in the midst of the power of God. We've had these scriptures since 1830s and 40s. Joseph was martyred in 1844. We've had these scriptures before he was killed. Okay, enough of that. Back to Here and Hereafter by Anthony Borgia. More insights into the earth and its role. It is strange, is it not, this strong disinclination upon the part of some minds to accept the fact that some sections of the spirit world, at least, should bear any resemblance to the earth, albeit a resemblance that involves considerable modifications. Now, I must say, this man has an axe to grind about the people he left behind on the earth. He's always kind of poking at some of the beliefs that we adhere to here on the earth. After spending their lives in an earth world where such objects as houses and buildings of every kind are to be found, where the countryside with its fields and meadows, its rivers and lakes, its trees and flowers, are but commonplace facts of earthly existence, some people feel resentful that they should be asked to live on in a future state where so many of the familiar landmarks of the earth are again in evidence. Of course, they are not asked, strictly speaking, to live amid these surroundings, but we have already considered that point. It is more the fact that a spirit world civilization exists at all that so annoys some of our friends on the earth. Again, I would ask, what would they have in place of these natural surroundings? And his point. The aversion, I am persuaded, arises from the notion that these realms of which I am speaking bear some limited or modified resemblance to the earth. Now, that in itself is wrong. It is to imply that certain regions of the spirit world have been constructed upon earthly lines, that the earth has been taken as a model and the spirit realms built upon that model, and that they therefore constitute something of a replica of the earth. Exactly the opposite is the truth. The earth bears a limited or modified resemblance to these realms, which is a different matter altogether. Spirit lands in the realm of light are 1,000 times more beautiful than any part of the earth it is possible to mention. So he goes on. Del Black is the author. Flight to Heaven. I read from page 108. None were recognized by the physical or social distinctions that we recognize on earth. All were recognized by their spirit, by the essence of who they were. Everyone and everything was full of pure life and was connected to the light somehow, and everything that was connected led to God. Part of the joy I was experiencing was not only the presence of everything wonderful, but the absence of everything terrible. There was no strife, no competition, no sarcasm, no betrayal, no deception, no lies, no murders, no unfaithfulness, no disloyalty, nothing contrary to the light and life and love. In short, there was no sin. And the absence of sin was something you could feel. There was no shame, because there was nothing to be ashamed of. There was no sadness, because there was nothing to be sad about. There was no need to hide, because there was nothing to hide from. It was all out in the open, clean and pure. Here was perfection, complete and utter perfection. The revelation of sin's absence was astounding and exhilarating. This is where I belonged. I was made to be in heaven, in a perfect place where there is no sin, and so were all the rest of us. I had been in heaven for some time before I recognized sin's absence. Now I contemplated the one thing that dominated everything on earth, that infected everything on earth, but was missing here. It can be compared to oxygen. I went through life not really thinking about the air I was breathing while I worked, slept, ate, and drove. But take that air away, and I would think about nothing else. Similarly, I was so accustomed to sin that I hadn't even recognized its far-reaching effect in every part of our life. But nothing had been tainted in heaven by sin's destructive touch. This perfection I experienced was largely due to the absence of sin. We do not take it with us unless we choose. And there are consequences. Last comment comes from the book Heaven is Beyond Your Wildest Expectations by Sid Roth and Lonnie Lane. I don't know how the light is. More great insights. Jesus wanted me to make sure when I tell my story, he was told to this person, that everyone I talked to, this person was told to go back and tell his story, that everyone I talk to knows that this is not our home. We who know Jesus as Lord and Savior are just passing through. It seemed to me that this earth was just a small part of a very big picture, a really small part. This earth is deteriorating. We are in a countdown to the end of the age, but we seem to think and act as if this is our home forever. Yet Jesus told us that he goes to prepare a place for us. See John 14:2. He was not talking about a house or a mansion, as we say many times, but a much greater place in heaven, just for us. When I was there, I knew that I was in my place, and no one else could take it. It was prepared for me. I also knew that I was not taking anyone else's place. When I talk about the music there, I understood that each being song, each being's song had its own place. That intrigues me because I'm not musical at all. I knew I was in my place and no one could take it away. Jesus had a place in heaven, has a place in heaven just for you, where you will know Him completely as Lord and Savior. It was made just for you and no one else. Last quote in this one. This is a 10-year-old boy. He doesn't have a near-death experience, but he has a vision. And it ties in, and this young man, 10 years old when he was interviewed, is from London, England. And this is what he has to say about the earth. Then Jesus took me to a door. It was a normal door made from an oak tree. There was a jewel on the end of the knob. It was a ruby. I felt like he wanted me to open the door, so I put my hand on the handle and opened it. I went through the door, which opened into a beautiful garden, the new earth, in capital letters. As I went into the garden, I saw it was filled with wildlife, lakes, waterfalls, rainbows, animals. Mostly deer were drinking from a lake. It was like a rainforest, only more colorful and full of life. It smelled lovely and was so wonderful and beautiful. Jesus spoke to me. This is the new earth that we will treasure. Then Jesus took me out into space and showed me the old earth. It was like seeing a satellite picture of Earth from space. It was gray and dull and covered and surrounded by a black mist, and the mist was sin. He seemed sad, and I felt his sadness inside my heart. The Lord then took me down to visit it, and all the buildings were crumbled and destroyed. There was no life in it at all. All the plants had died. I saw no people. It was deserted. Jesus said to me in the same kind voice as before, "This is the earth that man has destroyed." Then he said, "What I have shown you, I want more people to see. I have shown you this because I want you to tell the people that you have seen this and that they should turn back to God. This is what is going to happen, and you can't stop this, but you can help save more people. Turn back to God, save the earth."